All right. Hello, YouTube. Today is the day. Today is the day where we do the Mississauga road trip. Truck's ready to go. Yeah. I'm ready to go. I got my fancy spicy pineapple company pop. Keep me hydrated while I'm driving out. So let's go. Hey everybody. Okay, so here we are. We're on our way. We're cruising along on a highway, and what I did was I waited until we had a good stretch of time where the Garmin would not be yelling at me in a snooty English accent as to when to turn. So I'll give you guys a quick idea of what we're doing. Some people might watch these channels and think, oh, this is entirely fake. These guys are calling ahead. They're just going to shops they can make look good, blah, blah, blah. I can tell you, I'm nowhere near that organized or professional. This is just a hobby. So I got in the car. I went to my house. I wrote down on a shopping list paper from the fridge the shops that I'm going to go to today. I haven't called them. I looked at what time they open at, and I decided to go. So the first one of these is called Comic Warehouse, which is a very original name. Way to go, guys. And this one was really just came across my brother-in-law. I said, you have to go here. This is not something that was on the top 5 comic shops in Mississauga, but he says I've got to go, so I'm going to go. So that's the first one. It's on the border of Mississauga and Brampton. The second one I'm going to is called RetroRare Comics and Collectibles. That's what it was. And that one was on the top 5. In fact, it was the number 1 of the top 5 comic shops in Mississauga. And the third one I'm going to get to today is called Gotham Collectibles, I think. Gotham City Comics, something like that. I'll correct it later when we get to this. When we start doing the haul, if I've got that name wrong, I'll let you know. So those are the 3 that I'm going to today. If I can, I'm going to try to get to number 4 too, which was one that actually looked really, really cool, like a big store called Image Collections, or Image Collection. It just looked like it was far, and I was like, you know, 3 might be a bit much for me because I'm already old. Maybe 4 might be going a bit over the top, so let's just parse it back here. So that's what we're doing today. So we are on our way to Comic Warehouse right now. In fact, I am, I don't know, 5 minutes away actually, so we'll be there shortly. And I'm not going to record in these stores. These are private stores. I'm not getting their permission to record before I get there. They're not even going to know when I'm there. This is not something where I'm asking them to put on their best face. I'm going to see comic shops like you go to see comic shops, just as an average dude walking in. So there you go. So let's get over there, and hopefully this will be a great experience. I really do hope it will be. After all, I'm driving a couple hours worth of driving today to go to these 3 shops, so hopefully this will be rewarding. So let's go. Okay, there you go. I just pulled up a Comic Warehouse, and this is what it looks like. That's it. That looks pretty cool. And it's a comic cafe. Now, you're right beside a major highway here. And it's got an entrance at the front and the back. This is going to be awesome. Alright everybody, we're on our way home now, and I did finish my drive, and I did finish my visit to 3 different comic shops. And I stopped at 3 because I was so overwhelmed with my experiences that I was getting a headache and I just needed to stop. Listen, some of you viewers need to face facts. Tennessee Fats is old, okay? Tennessee Fats might not look, I totally look old, might not look that old, but I'll tell you, I can only take so much in a day. So, I stopped at 3. Number 4, Image Collection, or whatever you are, I'll visit you later. I'll tell you. So here's my 3, and here's what happened to me. So I went to the first shop, which is Comic Warehouse, and I'll tell you, my honest review and my honest thought of this place is, wow, I'm really impressed. My brother-in-law, who's the one who suggested this, he met me there. Thanks, Matt, for coming and meeting me, by the way. I really do appreciate that. He came to meet me there. And you walk in, and it's a comic cafe. They have vending machines there. They have tables set up when you walk in. And what they do there is they hold a board game night every Monday night. And they have, the guy was telling me that they had 2,000 open board games there to play. And that's insane. Like, obviously the culture, the comic and the, I'm going to call it geek chic culture sitting out in Mississauga. Wow, I'm impressed. That and the store itself was just overpowering. You walk in and you're in an area that's got a normal ceiling height and a single story, and they've got cases with statuettes and typical things you would see in a comic shop. And you see some comics that are under the glass, not a lot, but some comics under the glass. And then you go down these narrow aisles, which are full of board games. And you get to the back where suddenly it opens up into 2 stories. And it goes up. And I mean up. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to the point where claustrophobic people like me are like, wow. Holy crap, wow. I was really impressed. So a lot of board games there. And I mean a lot. Like pop figures. If you're into Funko and pop figures, holy poop. Such a collection. Such a collection. And then they had boxes and boxes and rows of comics. Now, I will say this about Comic Warehouse. For a store called Comic Warehouse, if that is what it's called, I'm pretty sure it is what it's called, not a lot of its square footage is dedicated to comics. Most of its square footage is dedicated to games, and I understand that. They are making a lot of money off of games. My brother-in-law, who was there with me, bought stuff for games. While I was there, I bought a game. I'm not going to go into that, because I'll tell you, some of the really cool things I found in this shop, I'm going to be giving away as gifts. And that means that I'm not showing them to you, because the people I'm giving them to might see it and it'll ruin the surprise. They're really cool. I was really impressed with what I found because it's so obscure. And I'll tell you, the people that I'm going to give them to are going to appreciate them a lot more than I know I do. So either way, that was very cool. So Comic Warehouse, way to go. Thumbs up on that. As far as the comics go, their comics are not that organized. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to pull a punch on this one. They are all over the place. But I'll tell you, if you're somebody who likes sitting there going through bins, and I do. If I have time and I'm on my own, I enjoy that. So I enjoyed this experience of going through bins and looking at comics. I thought that was really cool. And I did buy one book there. It's a really obscure book. It's an older one. It's an independent. And it was not one that's been on my list, but it's always been one that's been on my radar where I've always said, if I ever see this, I'm just going to buy it. Because it's so obscure. So I did. And I'll show you that when I get to the comic hall at the end. Okay. From there, I drove 15 minutes down the street. And 15 minutes, by the way, in Mississauga is about 4 kilometers. Thanks, all you 18-wheelers. Really appreciate that. And went to what I'm going to call one of the crappiest industrial buildings I think I've ever seen. But inside that was RetroRare Comics and Collectibles. RetroRare Comics and Collectibles, when you walked in, I'll tell you, my honest first experience when I walked in was, what did I just walk into? It was mausoleum quiet. Mausoleum quiet. And they have so much open space. And for me, when I look at a comic shop and I see open space, I get concerned because open space in retail is dead space. It's not producing revenue. If you're not displaying something, you're not making money on the space. So for me, I went, ooh. But then I started to walk around, and I started to look around. And this store had a lot of weird stuff. Like weird stuff. They had albums, vinyl albums. They had music memorabilia. They had sports stuff, sports car stuff. They had NASCAR stuff. They had comics. They had everything, figurines. And their prices were okay. They weren't crazy. They weren't insane. And I'll tell you, the one thing, and this is something that catches me, and I always think to myself, if I own a comic shop, I'm not going to do this. But I do totally understand why your retailers do it, so don't ever take offense to me saying this, is that all of their Silver Age stuff is sitting in my lights behind the glass, and it's all stacked up, and I can't see what's underneath it. I get that. You got to protect your books. You can't have people fingering through your books all day because they're all going to get destroyed. Displaying comics destroys comics. I understand that, at least in a retail setting. But there was a lot there. And a lot of people, when they go into places like that, aren't comfortable bothering the people behind the counter. Especially in comics. I don't know, it's something about comic collectors. They just tend to, for the most part, not be out there and willing to, engage in the active conversations. It's a generalization, but it's what I've observed. They tend to be more reserved. You get more out there people like me, and there are a lot of us, but listen, if you're not able to communicate, you're not able to ask, you're not able to dig in and say, can I go through these? You're not going to see what's there. The one book that I bought was from under the glass, and it wasn't the one that was sitting on the top. It was because I asked and I started digging through. And I'll tell you, I'm very happy with this book. Very happy with this book. It just came into the store, apparently. They just got it in. And it's funny because the sticker on it is from another store, and I know exactly where it came from. So, yeah, I got you on that one. But either way, I'm happy with it. The price was fair for what I got. No complaints, and you'll see that when I get to the comic hall at the end. But as I say, the store was very mausoleum-like. Now I'm going to go back and give this one a second chance later, because as I was talking to the owner at the end, what he told me, because obviously you're probing your client's needs, he's trying to understand what I'm looking for, and he said, well, you're a Silver Age guy, and I said, well, I'm more of a Golden Age guy actually, but I'm a Golden Age guy that collects non-hero books from Golden Age. I do more of the humor books. He says, well, I got a whole box of that. And legitimately, if you walk to the back of the store, they have got to be 3 stacks high, wall to wall, of boxes, comic boxes that looked full behind the counter. I couldn't go through them. But if he's got a whole box in there of Golden Age humor books, I'm coming back. So for me, I might be coming back, and I'll give you another opinion of this and what my experience was in that. But my opinion of it for now is it's an okay store. Honestly, I just don't like where it is physically. Like, physically, that real estate sucks. There's my sense on that one. And quite frankly, but it's got a lot of open space, and that always just makes me feel uncomfortable. It's funny, I'm claustrophobic, I can't stand spaces that are too small. Then I go to a comic shop, and when I'm surrounded by too much open space, I'm like, ooh, how long is this place going to be around? They should be making money off this space. Anyway, so that's what I think of that one. Either way, my thought process is on it. It's okay. It's not a full-blown, yeah, 2 thumbs up, great place. But it's okay. Really because that real estate blew it, I don't like it. My feel. Third place I went to, again, this one, and this is where I get my second jarring, flooring experience of the day, was Gotham Central Comics. I think that's what it's called. It's in an industrial box, but the signage is out there. It clearly shows that it's a comic shop. At the same time, it's got a candy shop that's attached to it, that's on the other side of it. I don't know how much more I can say about this shop. I got to talking to the staff there while I was walking around. Their wall books went for what seemed like miles. So many books. And they rotate. They fully rotate every 2 weeks. I was talking to a young lady there, and actually she's on another story. She actually is part of Chapter House and is part of their team there. And I've actually met her before. I met her at the Ajax Toy Show, where I had one of her co-conspirators draw a Pitiful Human Lizard in a Captain Canuck book for me, which I think was quite funny. But I'll tell you, I'm talking to her while I was there, and she does podcasts, which I'm going to get into. She had me start following them on Instagram so I could find out about the events they do, because they do events fairly regularly there where they have artists come in, which for me, as somebody who's getting into collecting original art now, that's really important to me. But on top of that, what really floored me about this place was just the miles and miles of books. Holy poop, there was so much. Like, I tell you, I really behaved myself in this store. There was so much. Even for me, who only has like, oh, there's 15 comics, 16 comics I'm collecting. There are comics that are always part of my collection now, where if I see them, I'll get doubles and triples. They had them. They had some of the ones that were on my list, I'm not going to lie. And their prices were reasonable. The only reason I stopped was I said, you know what, Rob? You're already spending enough money on something else. Let's just stop there. And I did. And honestly, I'm not upset about that. It was the right choice to make. They'll still be there later. And quite frankly, if you're always looking for them, and there's some of the ones that aren't that rare, and these ones were not that rare, but they are really cool ones to find, you can find them later. The other thing that really blew me away about this store, though, was the toys. For anybody who knows, there's a company out of the States that's called Super 7, and they do a lot of New York Comic Con shows. They do stuff like that, and they do elite toys. I've been following them lately on Instagram, and I'm really interested in their stuff, mostly because, I don't know why, but for some reason, Masters of the Universe is triggering me to sort of follow up more on this stuff. When I was in the States last time, I found this thing called Loyal Subjects Masters of the Universe little figurines, which I thought were just fantastic. I can't find them in Canada anywhere, period. But what I can find, and what I've been finding on Instagram, is this Super 7 company is putting out Masters of the Universe, what are they? I can't remember what they call them, but they're putting out figurines of them. And they're not just doing figurines that are smaller G.I. Joe size ones, but they're also doing the ones that are like the giant, super ripped He-Man figures of old. This place got them in. They had them in stock. Wow! Like, just wow! Like, I never thought I'd see that in Canada. I'm talking to the owner at the end there. I signed up for a membership card while I was there. And we were chatting just because he seemed like a general nice guy, was genuinely interested in what I was buying, was genuinely interested in carrying on a conversation with me. And on top of that, you've got this giant, giant store. Like, I'm sorry, but that store, to me, was the hands-down winner of the day. Comic Warehouse, you're really awesome. But I'll tell you, this other place, this Gotham Central comic thing, holy poop. And this is one of those ones where I just say to myself, you know, I wish I had that store closer to where I live. And at the same time, I also say, I am so glad I don't have that store closer to where I live. So I did, I'd be dirt poor, my wife would divorce me, and I would have no cool stuff in my house. well, I'd have way too much cool stuff in my house, but it would all be comic stuff. So, you know, that's my thought process on that place. So there you go. There's my 3. That's a transponder beep, by the way. There's my 3. That's what I saw for the day, and quite frankly put, I'm really impressed. So this was a good trip for me. I'm quite happy. Thank you, Matt, for suggesting this, for putting this idea out there. I will do more of these in the future, and I think I will probably be taking a second or a subsequent trip out to Mississauga soon. So thumbs up for Mississauga. Thumbs up for the shops they have out there. I'm pretty impressed with what you've got going on, guys. Okay, so here we are, we're back at the house. Let's go through this comic haul that came out of my trip to Mississauga. Tennessee Fats haul to Mississauga. What's the comic haul? I've alluded to this in the dry back footage, which I've spliced in before this. Now let's start going through this. So first thing purchased that was a comic, what did we get? I'll tell you what we got. Dark Horse presents The Black Cross. Now, a lot of people are going to look at this and say, what the heck is this? Now, this, and I had to look this up when I was in the store. I'm not this much of a comics genius. I might be the Wimbledon green of certain areas of comics, but not particularly with this aspect of this particular area of comics. Dark Horse Comics is not my ball of wax, okay? Let's start with that. But I always knew this comic and knew this cover because this is the first appearance of someone. Who is that someone? Running through it in my head, couldn't figure it out. Asked the guy in the store. The guy in the store had no idea. This is the first appearance of a character called Concrete. And it's right up here, this was an $18 comic. It's not in bad condition. Actually, it's in fairly good condition. Now, the staple is offset to the bottom here. There's a bit of spine roll. That can be pressed out. I'm not too concerned about that. But this was a pretty good haul for Comics Warehouse. Or a pretty good find for Comics Warehouse. As I say, a lot of stuff in there. It was a very interesting place if you want to go in and dig. And this was a good find. I'm happy with this one. So thumbs up to Comic Warehouse on that one. Well done. Let's put that one out of here now. All right. Next thing that we had to, and by the way, that sound you hear in the background is me creaking my old man chair. All right, so this is one, not a huge comic that a lot of people would pick up, but it was one that I picked up when I saw the opportunity. And it's in okay condition, not stellar condition by any means. X-Men number 11. Let's get you right up here and let's see this. Number 11. That's an 11. X-Men number 11. Okay, this is cool. Quite happy with this one here. X-Men number 11. Now, first appearance of the Stranger. You know, he walks around all over the place and does weird things. You'll find out more about him if you go and you look into it. This is one I picked up from RetroRare Comics. This is the shop I walked through where I said, this place is really big and empty. And I told you what my thoughts are on that. But this is a really cool find. Now, how do I know where they got this from? Well, it's right here, actually. You're at RetroRare Comics, and you've got a big thing here saying Big B Comics. You guys may have seen my reference in another video of mine where I've now been to all 3 Big B Comics locations in Ontario. I'm probably one of the only people that can say, hey, I've shopped at all 3, or at least that will publicly say that. How did these guys get these from Big B Comics? I don't know. They had a stack under the glass of Big B Comics. Now, these are not, that stack was not in stellar condition. They're all pretty rough like this one. This one doesn't grade too high. It's complete, though. I got it out. We went through it. There's no tears in the pages. The back cover actually looks really, really good. But X-Men number 11. This is the oldest X-Men comic that I now own. Very cool find. Quite happy with that one. All right. Now, oh boy. This is where things got a little out there. Just a little bit out there. Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit of a lot out there. Okay, so Gotham City, or Gotham Central. Gotham Central, I think. Well, I'll correct it in the comments there afterwards later. This place, things got a little crazy in. Now, I'll tell you, of all the comics that I got my hands on here, the one that sort of, because a lot of these were wall books, but the one that sort of really jumped at me, and it was an obscure one, is this one. Heroes Inc. presents Canon. For anybody who's into Wally Wood, this is a must-have, and I mean must-have book. It's incredibly hard to get your hands on. When I saw this, I honestly took 2 steps back. I went, is that what I think it is? And it was stupid cheap.
And the reason for that being, nobody buys this stuff. Nobody's out there looking for these independent and weird Wally Wood books. But these are part of comic history. Just recently, Dragonella right here, I saw somebody, who was it on Instagram, that did an homage to that in one of their postings. I can't remember, but they did it on one of their comic or their convention sketches. But quite happy with that. Canon, for anybody who wants to know, this guy is over the top. Every panel involves him ripping his shirt off, shooting communists, just going crazy. This was a lot of material that was sold out to American soldiers that were deployed because it was motivational, it was funny, it was violent, it did a bunch of things, but it really drew them in. And obviously the sex level is over the top. For anybody who knows Wally Wood, right there, Wally Wood, 1969, he did some really esoteric and out there stuff. And quite frankly put, you don't want your kids touching that stuff because it is out there. That being said, there's no arguing with the guy's talent level. Talent level from here to all the way up there, it just keeps going. The guy was beyond, well above and beyond in what he was drawing and writing. I would encourage anybody out there to pick up some of the old EC stuff that he wrote on his own because it's just phenomenal. I've got some trade paperbacks and some hardcovers that I've actually commented on my website where I did the review. Wally Wood, great job. Fantastic stuff there. Quite happy with this find. So weird. And I am actually going to read this one in case anybody's wondering. Next one here. Let's jump into this one. This is a Tower book. A lot of people don't know what Tower books are. Again, coming back to the Wally Wood connection, it's in rough shape again, but you don't find Tower books anymore. These, when they were produced, were oversized for the market at the time. They were overpriced for the market at the time. This originally had a cover price of 25 cents on it. And what these were was you had Wally Wood out there doing this material, which was an action story. But they were all extra thick comics. They're all massive. And the Thunder Agents, DC, reissued those, restarted the story. Dynamo being a guy that's this crazy belt, and he gets super powered, super strength, super invulnerability. Off he goes and does his thing. So, pretty cool story. Not in great shape by any means. Still quite happy with this one. Thumbs up on this one. And it's Dynamo #1. Again, not that expensive, but just an odd comic to find. So, way to go there. All right, then we get into some of the more personal things. All right, DC Super Special or Super Series number 1 or 2. I don't know. I've always found this numbering sequence to be completely off. The only reason I bought this, I had this when I was a kid. The last time I saw this comic in my hands, I must have been 7, maybe 8. And this is one that I've been looking for ever since. Swamp Thing has quite the cult following. Hard to find this stuff. But another one that I got, this one's I think all reprints too, but I don't care. Again, it was there, it was on the wall, relatively cheap, but again, esoteric, weird comic to find. Quite happy I did, so way to go. So those are, like, as far as the 3 giant, weird, just what the heck stuff goes. Really, these sort of made my day for Gotham City or Gotham Central or whatever it is. I'll get to it later. But that was a way to go sort of thing for me. These off the wall, relatively cheap, not a huge dent in the pocket. Then you get into some of the other things that were just sort of mainstream stuff. Anybody who knows much about me knows that Superman's my thing. Superman from the 90s, particularly the pre-52 one, is my guy. And the fact that Superman has a son named John, and Superman and Lois's relationship has always been something that I followed, liked, and enjoyed with those 90s Superman. So the fact that I could find this, and it was $20. First appearance of John Kent. This is a big thing for me. It's a personal thing, don't ask why, but this is a big one for me to find. Quite happy I got that. And the last wall book I got, all you see is black. Yeah. This is Solar Man of the Atom. I don't even think I can zoom in on this and show you any further. It's a black cover. Solar Man of the Atom number 10. First appearance of the Eternal Warrior in Valiant Comics. This is a comic that I've seen all over the place in pricing. If you get this thing graded at a 9.8, you can get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars of this. This is obviously not a 9.8. It's got some dents up in the impact dents on the top and the bottom. No spine wear though, but impact dent. And I think this is my 4th or 5th copy of this. I have a couple that are graded too. But I'll talk about grading on a different day. But this was a good find. Quite happy with that one. Now the last 2 things I got there were kind of weird. I was talking to somebody in the store, and she's going to be very angry with me because I cannot remember her name for the life of me. And by God, I apologize for that. But this is a function of age, and it's not nothing to do with you. It's not you. It's me. It's not you. It's me. Pitiful Human Lizard is my guy. I find him quite funny, and I find Jason Liu's series about him to be hilarious. While I was in the store, I suddenly remembered that this person who was working, this lady that was working there, I actually ran into previously at the Ajax toy show. She was at a booth with Andrew Thomas, I think was his name, and I had them draw the Pitiful Human Lizard in the front of a Captain Canuck trade paperback that I purchased. She was then talking to me. We were talking about our kids, or my kids more correctly, and the fact that my kid likes Teeny Titans and all that sort of fun stuff. And she mentioned that Chapter House has actually done a series that's the younger version of all their superheroes. I thought that was really cool. And this is something that she worked on and she wrote, and it's the first one she's had her name in a book. And I said, well, of course I'll buy that. That just makes sense. So I bought this, not a high value book, but again, a book I'm quite happy to have. I'm going to give this to my son later. He can read. It's been sitting in the stack waiting for me to record this for quite some time. But now that I've done that, here you go, Nathan. Enjoy the book. All right, last piece. And this is not a wall book by any means. This is actually a reprint. The True Believers version of What If the Avengers Had Fought Evil during the 1950s. I'm a big Kirby fan. It's just one of those weird things with me. I've always enjoyed his work. I've actually got copies of the Kirby magazine that came out, which are all oversized, which has some really weird material in them. And this came out, and I saw this post on Instagram a while ago, which was Kirby's, as a Kirby art fan site, or a fan following. And this is an old What If story, and this actually does have Kirby cover art on it. And I was like, really? I didn't think this was Kirby. And I thought, well, maybe I'll go pick up the original out there one day when I see it, and I'll just read it myself, because I didn't figure it would be a big high value book. So imagine my surprise when I find this just sitting at the counter, and it's $1. Well, it was $1.15 actually, but it was $1. That's a good find. I'm taking this thing out of the bag and board later, and I'm going to read the living crap out of this thing, because I find these 1950s characters fascinating during that dark age when superheroes just disappeared off the face of the earth. Not off the face of the earth, obviously Batman and Superman kept going, but everybody else sort of went kaput. So I'm going to give this one a read. This should be quite funny, and I know it's a reprint, and this originally came out, I don't know, what, in the 60s and 70s, but good find. Way to go. So that's the haul from the trip out to Mississauga. It's not a lot of books, but there's some really good finds in there, mostly for the weird value, also for the really old X-Men value. That I'm quite happy with. Not in great condition, but at an okay price. And that was just a good haul. Well, there it is, everybody. There's the comic haul video from Mississauga. I want to apologize to the majority of you, as well as my brother-in-law in particular on this one, because this one took a long time for me to post and release. I tell you, the haul part of this video where you see me reviewing the comics at the end was filmed in my first Lightbox. And that thing, if anybody's watched my video about the Lightbox, you know I wasn't particularly pleased with how it turned out after the fact. Making it was easy, using it not so much. The fact that it's now broken and that I haven't fixed it clearly tells you I'm not happy with this thing. But I am in the middle of making another one right now, and I'll use that for my future comic haul videos, as well as some other ideas that I have on the go right now. So anyways, if you like this one, make sure you click the subscribe button. It's a very simple one. It's that little hat with a mustache down in the corner. Hit that and you'll see when I bring out other videos. They include comic hauls, they include when I'm randomly recording nature, and just other random stupidity that I see out there that I think is just funny to put up here and that I hope you guys enjoy. So without any further ado, I'll turn this one over to Nathan. Nathan, take it away. Hear the audio in the background without it. What's that, Nathan? Yeah, that's right.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Oh, you think so, eh? Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to unplug this.